always talking about the city girls. Like, the city girls ain't give y'all raggedy ass y'all personality. Don't play with me. Sick of y'all.
GloRilla had it all. A chart-topping career, a sold-out WNBA All-Star performance, and the streets in the palm of her hand. But just days later, the headlines flipped her world upside down. A home invasion, nearly 3 pounds of weed found, and felony charges that could end it all. And just when she thought it couldn't get worse, her biggest rival JT dropped a video so sharp, so personal, fans didn't need a name to know exactly who she was aiming at. This isn't just rap, beef, this is betrayal, revenge, and a war years in the making. And trust me, the receipts are ugly. Just days after GloRilla was hit with marijuana charges, JT dropped a blistering video so sharp and specific that fans didn't even have to guess. They instantly recognized it as pure, calculated shade.
GloRilla was arrested in Georgia on felony drug charges and was booked Tuesday in Forsyth County, Georgia. She posted a $22,000 bond. What they didn't know was that she had family staying with her, and her family, they were traumatized.
One clip was all it took to turn JT and GloRilla's quiet tension into an all-out public war, and we've got every detail. Let's break it down. The streets never forget when keeping it real goes wrong, and the hip-hop world was still reeling from the shocking news of GloRilla's arrest when JT decided it was her moment to flex. For anyone out of the loop, Glo was busted in Forsyth County, Georgia, facing serious felony drug charges after her home was raided while she was out of town lighting up the WNBA All-Star game with her appearance.
I always talk about the city girls. Like, the city girls ain't give y'all raggedy y'all personality. Don't play with me.
The streets were on fire over the news, and honestly, it wasn't hard to see why. Even GloRilla had to jump on X to set the record straight. My house got invaded on Saturday while I was in Indianapolis performing for the WNBA All-Star game, and instead of focusing on finding the suspects, they focused on some cannabis. But JT wasn't here for sympathy speeches. She hit back in her own way. No warning shots, no build-up. Out of nowhere, she popped up on a live stream, looking lit and locked in, dropping what the culture is calling indirect but lethal smoke aimed squarely at GloRilla's head.
Prepping the other day, and I couldn't even prep for this show because I was reading about you on Twitter. And I was like, everybody was blowing my phone. Did you see what's going on Twitter? So tell me, why did you feel the need to pop up on JT so hard?
Everything just always everything. At the end of the day, that day gonna in.
Yeah, hello. and it's all the.
JT didn't have to drop GloRilla's government name. Anyone with half a brain could tell exactly who she was aiming at. The ops caught the vibe instantly. This wasn't some sloppy drunk girl ramble either. It was cold, calculated retaliation, served fresh. The tension had been brewing since the MTV VMAs just a couple weeks earlier, when the two allegedly clashed for real. Security had to jump in after Glo reportedly sent a purse, or maybe a drink, flying at JT's head. It started when Glo tried to approach JT, and JT brushed her off in a way that dripped with cattiness. Glo wasn't having it. Next thing you know, that drink is airborne, words are flying, and the two are being pulled apart. But here's the kicker, JT's shade wasn't random. Word on the street says the attitude started a week before the VMAs at Beyoncé's concert, where both women were in attendance. Rumor has it, JT and Young Miami tried to slide into Yo Gotti's VIP section where Glo was already chilling, and ended up getting escorted out by security like some regulars who snuck past the ropes. That embarrassing moment, allegedly, left JT salty. So when the VMAs came around, she saw her shot to return the favor and publicly play Glo to the left in front of the entire industry. But Glo, she wasn't about to let that slide. According to multiple witnesses, she made her point loud and clear, with her hands after sending that projectile toward JT, turning the backstage area into a full-blown war zone. By the time the VMAs rolled around, the tension exploded into a full-on backstage tussle. Fast forward to now, with Glo battling serious charges and JT just couldn't resist twisting the knife a little deeper. The wild part. She managed to flip the script, painting herself as the victim when, by all accounts, she lit the fuse on this drama in the first place. In that live stream, her energy dripped with passive-aggressive superiority, sliding in shade between talk about loyalty, backstabbing friends, and people messing with her property. The comments section didn't need a decoder ring. Everyone linked it straight back to her beef with Glo, and the timing. Absolutely diabolical. JT dropped that rant just hours after the blogs confirmed Glo's felony charges. That wasn't coincidence, she saw the headlines. clocked that Glow was trending for all the wrong reasons, and decided, this is my moment. But here's where things get even murkier. Their feud didn't actually start at the VMAs, or even Beyoncé's concert. Insiders say this beef runs much deeper, tangled in industry politics, personal betrayals, and alleged street business so messy it could make even the most seasoned veterans in the game shift uncomfortably in their seats. The roots of this feud stretch all the way back to September 2022, when GloRilla's collab with Cardi B, Tomorrow 2, blew up into a full-blown chart monster. What most people don't realize is that the song's success allegedly sparked tension with JT, thanks to whispers that Cardi's verse carried slick jabs aimed at her and the City Girls. The tension only got hotter because JT had been riding with Nicki Minaj, Cardi's long-standing rival, for years, essentially putting her on the opposite side of an already blazing rap civil war. What began as industry competition didn't stay professional for long. Insiders say subliminal shots and coded messages started flying, not just in lyrics, but in interviews, social media posts, and even casual backstage moments. The hip-hop world, always hungry for mess, quickly picked sides, amplifying every perceived slight until peace became impossible. But to really understand why GloRilla moves the way she does, and why this beef escalated the way it did, you've got to know where she came from. Because her background explains a lot. This feud isn't your run-of-the-mill industry spat, it hits different because of where GloRilla came from and how the streets molded her. Born Gloria Hallelujah Woods on July 28, 1999. In Memphis, Tennessee. She grew up in the Fraser neighborhood of North Memphis, a place that once had middle-class roots but by the time Glow was coming up, had been gutted by economic decline and everything that comes with it. As the 8th of 10 children in a big blended family, survival wasn't a figure of speech, it was the daily reality. Beds were replaced with pallets on the floor, and scarcity shaped every move she made. But here's the twist. Glow's upbringing wasn't just shaped by poverty, it was locked down under one of the strictest religious households imaginable. She was homeschooled until the 5th grade to keep her insulated from outside influences. And her parents enforced rules with near-military precision. No secular music. No looseness, no distractions from their faith. GloRilla's childhood wasn't just strict, it was almost airtight. Christmas, Valentine's Day, Easter, Halloween. All off-limits, the only holidays allowed were the 4th of July and Thanksgiving. Gospel heavyweights like Kirk Franklin and Donnie McClurkin were the household soundtrack, and from age 5 to 12, Glow was front and center in the church choir, dreaming of becoming the next gospel star. But here's the thing, when you keep someone locked away from the outside world, their curiosity doesn't disappear. It grows teeth. That ironclad religious bubble ended up sparking Glow's first real hustle. She and her siblings started plotting ways to get their hands on the one thing they weren't allowed, secular music. And they didn't just sneak around, they went full hood genius. The crew started boosting CDs straight out of Walmart, zeroing in on Lil Wayne and Drake albums, then loading the tracks onto a PlayStation for secret late-night listening sessions. Her older brothers even flipped the scheme into a side business, selling stolen CDs at school. Before music took over, Glow was clocking in at everyday jobs, working the Checkers drive-thru, clocking shifts at Walmart, and keeping herself entertained by going live on social media while on the clock. But by 2018 to 2019, she quit it all to bet on herself, dropping her first freestyle on Facebook and spending every spare moment in the studio with family backing her all the way. Then came 2022, the year everything changed. In April, she linked with producer Hitkid, and in just 30 minutes, they cranked out FNF, Let's Go, a no-nonsense anthem celebrating single life and female independence. The track blew up overnight, thanks to TikTok's hashtag FNF Challenge, where users recreated its wild energy and pushed it into the Billboard Hot 100's top 50. The viral wave caught the attention of Yo Gotti, who signed her to his CMG label that July, making Glow the first female artist on the roster. Even scored a Grammy nomination for Best Rap Performance at the 2023 Grammys. But it was her explosive link-up with Cardi B later that same year that would plant the seeds for a bitter public feud with JT1 that's still shaking the industry. Today, Tomorrow 2, with Cardi B didn't just give GloRilla her first top 10 hit and double platinum plaque. It marked the start of a rivalry that would spiral far beyond music. The track's success fueled whispers of subliminal shots, with fans dissecting captions, interviews, and lyrics from both camps while the hip-hop community eagerly picked sides. making reconciliation nearly impossible. The tension exploded in April 2024, when Glo dropped her mixtape Ething, including the track 8, where she rapped, "Me and JT ain't the best of friends. But we ain't beefin'." No, it's always something they keep a secret. Intended as a peace gesture, it landed like a taunt to JT, who saw it as calculated manipulation. Her clapback was swift and savage, a series of posts calling Glo messy and phony, hinting at ugly behind-the-scenes drama, and then, the ultimate petty move, posting a collage of her own past mugshots with one blank spot left open, as if saving it for Glo. In that moment, any chance of burying the hatchet vanished. This wasn't just industry competition anymore, it was a full-blown personal war. The feud between GloRilla and JT hit an all-time low when JT, after hinting with a collage of her old mugshots, openly threatened to make room for another by confronting Glo in person. Glo didn't flinch, clapping back with jabs about wigs, accusing her of harboring the same hidden animosity she'd been accused of, and confirming it was indeed a purse she'd launched at JT during the VMAs, not a slap. She even mocked JT's career by threatening to pop up at one of her backyard BBQ shows. What followed was an hours-long digital slugfest, with both women trading insults that cut into everything from looks to legitimacy, while their fan, Army's Glo's Big Glo crew and JT's Juvies turned Twitter into a battleground. By November 2024, the pair staged a public ceasefire. Glo told interviewers she never came into the game looking for beef, blaming overzealous fans for stoking the fire, and JT publicly agreed they were good. To the outside world, it looked like the smoke had cleared. In reality, the truce was nothing but a PR mirage. Resentment still simmered beneath the surface. So, when Glo was arrested in July 2025, the fragile peace shattered instantly, unleashing a chain of events and explosive allegations that promised to reveal the real, ugly truth behind their years-long vendetta. Summer 2025 was supposed to be GloRilla's victory lap, but instead it became the stage for one of the coldest betrayals hip-hop has ever seen. A move so calculated it hit her at her lowest moment. On July 19th, Glo was riding high, shutting down the WNBA All-Star Game halftime show in Indianapolis. But while she was basking in the spotlight, trouble was brewing back home. In the early hours of July 20th, 3 suspects forced their way into her Georgia mansion in the gated St. Marlowe Country Club community, hunting for high-value trophies like jewelry. Family members staying at the house were caught in the chaos, and someone inside fired shots at the intruders, sending them running. No one was hit, but that wasn't the end of it. When Forsyth County deputies rolled up to investigate, they caught a whiff of something suspicious and called in the Lanier Regional Drug Task Force. What should have been a burglary case flipped into something far worse when a search warrant turned up a stash that would change Glo's life overnight. When deputies searched the home, they turned up approximately 2.8 pounds of marijuana and 2 jars of potent THC, wax, the concentrated kind classified as a Schedule I controlled substance under Georgia law. Suddenly, the victim of a home invasion was treated like the criminal. On July 22, 2025, Glo did the stand-up thing and turned herself in to Forsyth County authorities. Booked on 2 felony counts, possession of marijuana and possession of a Schedule I controlled substance. She posted a $22,260 bond the same day, but the smear on her reputation was immediate. Furious, she took 2x, venting that her house had been invaded while she was performing at the WNBA All-Star Game. Yet, instead of chasing the suspects, cops zeroed in on her cannabis. But while Glo was dealing with the gut punch of being victimized twice, first by burglars, then by the system, JT was lurking in the shadows, biding her time. The peace between them, already paper-thin, shattered completely when new allegations exploded. Sources claimed Glo had been plotting to have JT jumped during a Memphis show, cleverly lining it up with JT's feud with Sukihana to muddy the trail. That plan allegedly unraveled when former friend and fellow Memphis rapper Glossip, once signed to Quality Control, spilled the receipts to JT, complete with group chat screenshots. The betrayal lit a fuse. JT and Glo reportedly faced off on FaceTime after the hired muscle backed out, turning a simmering rivalry into something deeply personal and dangerous. So when Glo's arrest made headlines, JT pounced not with a public diss or a Twitter rant, but with a move far colder, a private, calculated video message, never meant for the public eye, delivered directly to its target like a bullet with no witnesses. Through carefully chosen intermediaries. The video made its way to GloRilla's, calculated delivery designed to sting in private while fueling whispers in public. Those who claim to have seen it described JT sitting in a calm, almost cozy setting, speaking straight into the lens with the icy assurance of someone who had been rehearsing this moment for months. The tone was longer, sharper, and far more pointed than anything she'd said on her public live streams. She opened with a thin veneer of sympathy for GloRilla's legal mess before peeling it back to reveal a razor-edge dismissing her claims about being a victim and framing her arrest as karmic justice for allegedly plotting violence against other women. JT then addressed the rumored Memphis jump plot head-on, voicing a mix of betrayal and cold anger at discovering that a supposed truce had been nothing more than a setup. For GloRilla, the blow couldn't have landed at a worse time. Felony charges looming, the trauma of a home invasion still raw, and her career teetering on the edge. The video's arrival was surgical in its cruelty, dropping when her defenses were already shattered. Within industry circles, its existence became an open secret. Insiders and online personalities hinting at its contents without ever spelling them out. That fog of rumor was its own weapon, leaving GloRilla trapped in a mental vice, knowing a damaging piece of media was circulating yet powerless to control the narrative. Friends on both sides quietly admitted the hit landed. GloRilla, they said, was already under immense pressure. But after that video, something in her seemed to crack. GloRilla was reportedly shaken, not just by JT's words, but by the cold precision of the timing. It drove home the fact that her past moves had birthed an enemy who was willing to strike at her weakest moment. And this wasn't her first brush with the law. Just a year earlier, in April 2024, she'd been arrested in Georgia for DUI after making an illegal U-turn at a red light around 4 a.m., failing multiple sobriety tests and catching charges for DUI, marijuana possession, and an open container. The incidents together painted a troubling picture of an artist whose rapid rise had outpaced her street smarts, leaving her vulnerable to both legal pitfalls and personal vendettas. In hip-hop, where authenticity often means keeping one foot in the streets, the collision between that image and the demands of mainstream success can be fatal to a career. Now, with felony charges pending, her public image damaged, and the shadow of JT's private video still hanging over her, GloRilla finds herself in a fight for more than just her freedom. She's battling to hold on to the empire she built from nothing. The woman who once hustled stolen CDs in Memphis and stood on Grammy stages now faces an uncertain future, trapped in the fallout of years of simmering resentment and betrayal. As of July 29, 2025, just one day after her 26th birthday, case is still active, the video's still doing quiet damage, and the next chapter of her story is anyone's guess.